Welcome to this week's Extra Credit. My guest in the hot seat is Larry Robertson, who is an innovation advisor and helps people discover the value at the nexus of leadership, entrepreneurship, and creativity. He is a prolific writer. You will find him in Inc. magazine, CEO World, Smart Brief, amongst others, a Fulbright scholar and author of 3 books, A Deliberate Pause, The Language of Man, and Rebel Leadership. Extra Credit is where I ask the tough questions in 2 or 3 minutes, depending on how much more fun I'm having and Larry's having. So, Larry, how much fun are you having?
Oh, we're climbing up the fun scale.
All right, your starter then. A rebel leader is one who?
A rebel leader is one who harnesses the best of what it means to both be a rebel and a leader. So in that sense, a rebel is an innovator, somebody who's open thinking, somebody who encourages that in others, not the over-the-top risk taker. It's the best part of rebel. And a leader isn't just somebody who has followers. A leader is somebody who creates an environment where everybody can lead. Rebel leadership is those 2 things together.
All right. Vulnerability at work matters because?
Vulnerability matters at work because it's a reality. We're all vulnerable in our work environments. And so it doesn't mean we need to spill everything on the table, every vulnerability we feel, but to go the opposite direction and to try to pretend we aren't vulnerable or to try to close ourselves in so nobody can read us either way is more damaging than anything that could come from any vulnerability you have.
Which word or phrase do you most often overuse?
Uncertain.
Oh, tell me more.
I use it a lot to the edge of overusing it because we still collectively think of uncertainty as something temporary. And so I feel the need to call people back to the fact that uncertainty is 1, ever present, and 2, right now it dominates everything we do and everything we try to do or think about. So I overuse the word, but it's really an effort to try to bring people to that reality that this is our new abnormal. We're not just waiting for a status quo to come around the corner and then we can sit back and relax.
Okay, let's assume.
I see that as an opportunity, by the way, not as a threat.
So we're going to just switch to a little bit more irreverent. So if you could go anywhere right now, where would you most like to travel?
Well, it's funny you should say that. I've been lucky enough to travel all over the world and love doing that. And typically I like to go to a new place. But one place that I didn't get to go to because I was planning to go there right at the beginning of the pandemic was to revisit the northern part of Scotland, which I'd been to before, which I loved, where my son learned to walk, and I was going to go with him. So if I could go anywhere in the world right now, it would be there, but it would be with him so we could complete that trip now that he's an adult.
What role have relationships played in your success?
They are my success. You know, nobody does anything alone. And we talk about standing on the shoulders of others. That sounds like we borrowed from their act independent of them and we built on it. Some of that happens. But it's the relationships that point you to those things that came before you. It's the relationships that help you sort out how to put the pieces together to create something better. It's those people you create things for that you're trying to bring value to, whether they know it or not. I mean, relationships are everything.
Couldn't have said it better. What's your guiltiest pleasure?
Scotch.
Oh, me too. We'll have to compare Scotch notes afterwards. But there you go. What's your favourite tipple right now then? Do you have a bottle that is a go-to? That sounds terrible, yes. But you know what I mean.
Yes. So I try to sample, right? But I try to sample where I don't just take one drink of it and say I'm in or I'm out. I try to live with it and see what it's like. I had not been doing blended versions, and I tried one that's called Shackleton. And I have to admit, I was sold by the marketing. It's supposedly based on bottles they recovered from the ice from his expedition. And my first sip, I hated it, and now I'm really loving it.
It's funny because as a younger me, couldn't stand spirits and couldn't stand whiskey, but now I'm growing into it and bourbon. So I'm starting to expand And I know it when I like it, and I know it when I don't like it, and I have to be in a certain mood for the really, really peaty ones, but you know what I mean. Okay.
Absolutely. Mood matters.
All right, your final 2 questions then. A piece of music or a song that just makes you want to dance?
Pretty much anything by Paul Kelly, who's an Australian artist. And not all of his songs are dance, but they make you want to move. There's something about not just the music, but the story that's in every song. I want to be up and going when I'm listening to Paul Kelly.
Okay, and finally, 3 words. 3 words that you hope others use to describe you at your best.
Open, caring, tenacious.
On that note, Mr. Larry Robertson, thank you for joining me on Extra Credit. I'll make sure that all of your website information and obviously links to Rebel Leadership, your latest book, are in the show notes. But make sure you join Larry and I for the main episode of People First, where we talked about a ton of things. So you know what? Come listen and you'll find out. Larry, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.